Oh, yeah. Can you feel it? Is it getting down to your soul? Yeah. Hey, welcome everybody. Yes, 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 yes. So good to see you. Thank you for, hey, being part of the journey. It's once in a lifetime, no doubt. Two things of thought. Either we've been here before, or this is our first time and we'll never be this way again. Actually, I think there's a song. Hey, just good to see everyone. Boy, a full room here already. Thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining and being part of this phenomenal community. Yeah, it's y'all. Thank you, moderators. You all are like the best. Peace to you. And all the rest of all the free thinkers. I'll tell you what, I think we've got most of them. Hello, Dragon, Soul Fox, and Susie Q. Good to see you. Richard, hello. Sarah, Big Al, David Barry, Amber, how are y'all? So good to see you. Let me just invoke tremendous favor and joy upon all of us today. May it rain upon us as a shower in summertime that refreshes the ground and refreshes our soul. Nothing missing, nothing broken be found in your life. Full restoration. Yeah, we got Lisa Barnett coming on next month, and we'll be talking about more of that restoration. In fact, what we're doing now is a really an excellent precursor going into that. So, hey, cheers, everyone. Well, thank you, Amber. And the story, my mother really did have me tested. Actually, she put me in a child's mental ward is what they called it back in those days. Best place, I'm telling you, that place was really far out. Brand new. It was Jewish Children's Hospital. Brand new. They were still adding on to the hospital, building the arch, by the way. It was cool because where I had lived, I didn't, eating was a privilege, and got put in there, and man, got 3 meals a day. They even had snacks at night, man, before you went to bed. So it's just a matter of how you look at things. So anyway, let's rock and roll. Happy birthday to those who got one. Anniversaries. Hey, love the one you're around. Give them a big hug, because you know what? Give yourself a big hug. And then that way, when you give a hug to someone else, it's coming from the soul, baby. Yeah. Tomorrow, the Second Look show with Miss Trina Phoenix, it will be on. So I'm looking forward to that. Wednesday, I'm going to be an hour late. No way to. That's got to do some got to do. So just a reminder, and I'll remind y'all. Let's see. I think Friday night, special Friday night show, got Nick Gruhl coming on. So, hey, Julianne Payne, how are you, my dear? Much love, hun. Jamma K, hello. Jenny, good to see you. Stellar Core, hello. Karen, how you doing? Just so good. Hey, Truth Seeker, how you doing? I think Lost in Space. Twisted Isby, how are you? Good to see y'all. Man, we got a good topic. I'm telling you. So we're talking about black mirrors. Now, I have mine. You see, the thing about these black mirrors is what it emits. They're the most unique, and we're going to be talking about these. But I do, and as opposed to what we would call this as a light mirror, a white mirror, right? We can get really into the multiple frequencies and hello, alternate reality. So, and when we start talking about black mirrors, we have you can get them like this. We're going to be experimenting with these. Well, experimenting, let me rephrase this. We're going to be exercising with these. And learn a lot more. And then you can have these. Now, this is really a pretty cool. I want to be careful on this just to show everybody. Comes in this. And this is a solid obsidian. It is far out, folks. Like it's almost like your own dark crystal. Yeah, because this is what it's all about. It's quite interesting. It boils down to a couple of key discussion points. So class is in session. We'll just ring the other bell on this one. All right. So class is in session now. We're going to get to this. So we live in a world where AI, it's here, baby. It's everywhere. You know, as the poster says, we're in outer space, man. We ain't in the Kansas anymore, Dorothy. Magic. We're going to be looking at academic papers. Folks, I'm telling you, it's almost like there's a renaissance, a resurrection of magic. And all it's amazing in the different sciences. We live in a time where alternate realities are more real than ever. You know why it's more real? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but you think about more of the nomadic history of man. It's how we migrated. We migrated according to climate change. Climate change is nothing new. And so today, we don't have that luxury. We are pretty much sedentary in most of our lifestyles. But the thing about it is, you primarily didn't have much time to think about probably alternate realities. You were looking for food, shelter, staying alive, not being eaten. That would probably set you into a different reality. I mean, seriously. But the interesting thing is what science is now starting to prove. And wow, some of this, a lot of us are going to go, oh, really? So you're just now acknowledging it? Some of it's going to be, I didn't know that. Where did that come from? But Black Mirrors, I mean, it's a fascinating thing when you really think about this, that as you begin to really skyring is what it's called. If you become a skyer, I love that word. Hey, what are you, man? Just call me a skyer. That's fine. What the hell is that? Well, come over and I'll skyer for you. But yeah. And, you know, even when I'm looking at this now, it's got a weird, well, it's obviously convexed, concave. Speaking of convexed and concaved, it's an experiment we all can do. So we know that if you hold the spoon up, it will show an inverted picture. And there's, you know, our ancestors found this to be very magical. But when you turn it over, you now have what would be called a direct representation of the reality that we're faced. Here, it's inverted. Here, it's reverted. And remember, our eyes turns everything upside down. Now, when you think about this principle, now started applying it over the earth. So if I'm looking at something that is convexed, right? Not concaved, but convexed, well, wait a minute. Is that giving me an accurate picture of what it's actually showing, the firmament? Lots of debate on that. You know, you think about the science. And that whole thing is very interesting. The stars are their light is it's amplified here. Doesn't look the same when you're up there, or so they say. I haven't been up there. So yeah. It says, and I want to pull up a couple of articles. I left the links for them, by the way, down below. And so check this out, folks. So this is from the Phoenix Esoteric Society. Far out website. I've left the link. You can check this out. This guy really wrote a really good, cognitive, well thought article. I'll just read part of it and you can go, but the first 3 paragraphs are very interesting. The occult and AI. I believe, as he's writing in his first person, the magical conjuring of artificial intelligence will bring about tremendous changes in the world that most people will not be prepared for. Oh man, all I got to give this guy is high five. The human mind will be thrust into a new simulated dimensions, and what we label as space and time will be revealed to have little, if no, meaning at all. He continues, all of this will be possible as computers become more powerful. And ladies and gentlemen, the announcement that Google made over the weekend is a big freaking bleep, bleep, bleep deal. This is going to change reality, as though it hasn't already been changed. But go and check it out. We'll pick up maybe on Wednesday on that. Anyway, become more powerful and allow AI to fully develop to a state of artificial general intelligence, AGI, where AI can now surpass all of human intelligence and control their own destiny by no longer allowing humans the ability to just shut them down. Hello, Skynet. In a small way, this has already started to happen. Now, this is what I have said to you. It's very interesting what's happened here with Facebook. There was a report last year of Facebook shutting down its AI because it was creating its own language, its own society, and a story about Microsoft's AI chatbot that was put on Twitter was taken down in one day because users taught it to become a racist homophobic. Yes, yeah. So he goes on to say, this leads to a very interesting question. What will AI do and how will it act when it develops its own programming, which I believe it's already doing, and can read humans' minds? Folks, we've covered this extensively. At that point, nothing will be hidden from it. Now, check it out for yourself. It goes on. It's well worth checking out. The second article is really interesting. This is from the conversation.com website. Folks, this is one that will blow your mind. It's based upon Charlie Brooker, who is the creator of the Netflix Black Mirror. And this is quite it's an alarming article. To be very candid with you. God is an algorithm, and why we're closer to a black mirror styled reality than we think. This gets into this will scramble your head. It literally will. To go on, he asked the question we addressed at length last week. Do we have free will, or are we controlled by a higher power? When we discussed this at length, and what we really found out is we really don't have a free will. I like their approach here about this. It says that before the Industrial Revolution and the first sci-fi narrative, which was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, warning us of the dangers of replacing an inscrutable ancient God with a scientific one. People try to determine two opposing but closely related things. Ladies and gentlemen, the gods of the Bible, even of the first century of Christianity, no longer exist. They're gone. They've been replaced. And though Nile, is not a river in Egypt, it runs heavily through the collective intelligence of many of our sectors. But the fact of the matter is, we have, in fact, replaced the gods of old with the technology god. I'm going to be doing an article. We'll talk about it on Wednesday. And Protestantism is the one that's rapidly adapting to robotic AI clergy. And there's a lot of good reasons for it. Particularly when the church will go broke when the onslaught of the lawsuits that are coming. So check these articles out because I've left the link. Yeah, it's really weird. Let me get this closed out. There we go. Thank you. Close out that window. There we are. I'm back. So as you can see, and I know people don't like hearing that, it causes cognitive dissonance. It does. And you see my black mirror box is talking to me right now. Yeah. But the reality is, and as the generations continue, and they will, we're going to see more and more of this. Think about it. It doesn't have a downside to it. It won't steal. Lying, well, I don't know what lying really is. I mean, they say lying is a distortion of the truth. Okay, well, you got to get technical about then what is truth? Whose truth? What truth? Nevertheless, truth. Well, okay, you think about this. A machine, although it can be taught, let's say it teaches itself. Let's say it begins to form its own set of morals. Wow. How would humans rate up to that? I would say not too well. I think you would be right. All right. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about in this opening lesson on this, because we've got to go back and address something that is becoming more and more substantiated. Yeah. So let's go. Bum, 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 bum. All right. So what we just saw was a fact that this is in all likelihood what's happened. We're going to learn something about black mirrors that the Otherverse. We talk about the universe, but the Otherverse is something that we may already be deeply in. Light mirrors, we know, reflect light. Black mirrors do not reflect blue light, not the ones that we're talking about here. But these do. The weird thing about this is, if you can get your head wrapped around this, is that this thing, this black mirror, will only begin to, well, as you get into it, reflect back, or as they say, it literally opens up into the Otherverse. But let's talk about this blue light. I think this is really important because I'm not the only one. I stumbled upon this about 3.5 years ago. So even in that tense, I would be probably considered, well, ahead of the most, but still a novice? I don't know. But I have graduated now up to a senior status. It doesn't take you long when you get into this. So just understand this. I've got right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these black mirror devices. All of them are emitting this blue light. Now, this blue light can be masked to show any kind of light in color, but it is emitting the blue light. Now, we looked at Solomon in his symbols, in how he tamed these 72 archangels and archdemons. We began to see that the sigils that we looked at, many of us have drawn out ourselves, are obviously a schematic to an electrical grid. I also contend that this species could not have entered in until the advent of what we call today the smart devices. And I believe that they are, in fact, a species. So what is blue light? All light is made up of electromagnetic particles that travel in waves, right? We know this. We're all pretty well got this down. But blue light has a wavelength of between approximately 380 nanometers and 500 nanometers, making it one of the shortest, highest energy wavelengths. Now, we're bombarding our brains with this, our visual cortex, the whole bit. And our brains generate electromagnetic signals of its own. So you look at the blue light, where it is in the visible spectrum. Well, you can see it's at what you would call the higher end, blue representing less dense, red more dense. And here's the thing. Different light has different effects. There's beneficial light, and then there's harmful light. The harmful light gets into the UV, ultraviolet, the blue violet, and then the blue turquoise. Now, the blue turquoise is at the lower end of the spectrum of the beneficial light. It's called, basically, it influences our sleep-wake cycle in memory. And then it starts to getting worse. The thing about it is that when you expose your brain to this blue light, well, all sorts of stuff happens. Now, remember, we've got 2 generations, 3, that will never know a day of not blue light, called the I generation. So we know that it disrupts your sleep schedule, might leave you distracted and impair your memory the next day. Well, that's okay, because my smartphone remembers. You don't get good sleep. The poor night's sleep caused by the smartphone light can make it harder to learn. And that's okay. My smartphone remembers me. Over the long term, not getting enough sleep can lead to neurotoxins build up that can make it even harder for you to get a good night's sleep. And it goes right on into depression, obesity, cancers, cataracts, retina. And this is medical science. It's not science fiction. It's fact. Where it's around us everywhere. The thing about it, when you get blue light at night, it's no it could be a very good reason why we see, in many cases, in an age demographic group, that we're seeing diseases that shouldn't be showing up until typically 30, 40 plus years, that age group would not. It says that today's Generation Zers, are in the more poorest health than generations in the modern era. What's going on? Well, I think we can say that the fact that the blue light is beginning to affect what we call the melatonin, thank you, photoreceptors. And this goes directly back to the pineal gland. Weird, isn't it? Nightlight is a blue light, as is the moon. The moon emits a blue light. I wonder if that has anything to do, well, we know it does, with the lady that we studied. When you begin to understand this wavelength, and remember, a signal can be interlaced with many other signals. Yeah. I contend they're controlling our realm, and others are seeing this. And the thing about it is, we didn't know. They don't teach this in schools. Why, this is considered to be, in a Western culture, this would be considered the occult. And by God, you're not going to bring that devil shit into our schools. That's what I'm telling you. Yeah. It's fact. But nevertheless, we've enchanted all of their students, and them too, and us. So I found it interesting. Let's go back and see what black mirrors were really all about. They date back, we saw it in Disney. It was introduced to our culture. Disney was probably one of the greatest occultists of his time. And no one ever saw it. Why? He did it in a form that was absolutely disarming. Cartoons. So we saw it with, Snow White. She used the black mirrors for scrying. And we all know the question, mirror, mirror on the wall, right? So what is scrying? I love that word, scrying. It is the divination of future or past events, or talking with spirits from another plane of existence by gazing into an object such as a black mirror. And folks, I don't care who you are. It doesn't take long. You spend 30 minutes looking into a black mirror. Get ready. The black scrying mirror or magic mirror is a powerful psychic tool. It can bring the user hidden knowledge and clairvoyant ability, and can act as a portal to other planes of existence. History shows its use in many of the traditional mystery schools and oracular temples. Today, the serious student of magic arts can rediscover the ancient rites of the magic mirror for these teachings. And again, by the way, there is, we'll be talking about, I've gotten some really good books that we'll get more into, but yeah. All right. Most people often state that they wish they had a crystal ball, but never would think of wishing to scry. Scrying is an act of peering into either a crystal ball, a bowl of water, stones, fire, glass, smoke, seeing visions. The scryer then intercepts the visions and predicts the future, or sees important information from the present or the past. We've done shows on this, that the past often dictates the future, not the other way around. The name scrying comes from the Old English and the word descry, The word meant to reveal or see dimly. This gets really interesting. It talks about how it began in several places, and it goes particularly with the Egyptians. They believed that their goddess, Hathor, the sky goddess, used the reflection of her shield to see all that existed. The Egyptians used mirrors to duplicate the effect. Almost 1,000 years later, the Greeks used beryl, black glassy stones, and water. The first to use the crystal ball and crystals, however, were the Celtics, the tribes led by the Druid priest. Yeah. I can remember how the Bronze period, how people, armies, great story about the Israelites, how they took their shields and rubbed sand on them until they became as bright as bronze of the sun, as it was said. And when they put all those shields together and aimed it at the Philistines, well, it blinded them. It was also a heat wave. Can you imagine? All right, so the process of scouring begins with any object that you can see reflections or even staring into a flame. If a crystal ball is used or mirror, then it must be clean. To successfully scour, a relaxed mental state is important. Although some people use a ritual when they scour and say a prayer, many just ask for information or do nothing at all. I don't get any elaborate, don't need to. Although, that just gave me an idea. All right. After staring into the object, water, smoke, or flame, images begin to form. This is similar to seeing pictures in the clouds. Eventually, they become more prominent. The visual now is not as important as what the mind associates with them. This is the point when information seems to come from nowhere or long forgotten. Sometimes seemingly unimportant moments of the past come to the surface of the conscious, and the brain begins to make sense of the images and understand their meaning. Interesting. Often people that just begin to scouring use incense, music, candles, and dim lighting to make them more relaxed and receptive. Many beginners find that it takes several sessions before they actually begin to see any form in the object of their choice. The most important tool for successful scouring is concentration and relaxation. Scouring requires energy, and the more energy input into the project, the better the result. The relaxation helps release the internal energy. The tool used to scour varies because each individual must feel the connection to the medium used. There are several schools of thought why scouring is effective. Some believe that the quantum physics plays a part and the skier somehow manages to see forward on that time continuum. Others believe that it is a divine gift from the deity of choice. A third group believes that scouring aids in unlocking the knowledge of the subconscious mind. Most all agree that scouring answers questions and provides direction to the individual that asks for the guidance. Initially, the ability to see the future is limited, but grows more accurate and easy the more frequently it is practiced. And that's what it has to be, practice. Others believe that it is a divine gift from the deity of choice. A third group believes that it is actually unlocking the knowledge. There are a multitude of reasons that people scour. Some people say it to make a connection with the energy of the universe. Others find it a stress-free way to make decisions. Your best decisions are not made when you are stressed out. Man, if you have to make a decision when you're stressed or pressured, tell them to go take a flying leap and you go and get inside yourself, man, and get to that peaceful place, that quiet place. Others, the reason for scar difference as much as the tools that the individuals use to accomplish it. I can see how the shamanic culture in the ancient peoples, how they could learn this. And I have no doubt that what they're connecting with is not what we're connecting with. Meaning these black mirror boxes that we are there. So they say it opens a doorway to the ether, beyond space and time. These black boxes. And the thing about it is, a natural obsidian or water or whatever it is that you're using is going to reflect it. It's not emitting the light. Here's one. Mirror, mirror, black as night, grant me the gift of hidden sights. Show me the answers that I seek. Solutions into mind's eye leak. Mirror, 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 black as night, grant me precious insight. And that's actually in this book I've got. It's really I can show you folks, those who want to check it out. I literally just got it. So anyway, check it out. You go and study, and we're going to be studying a book that's actually going to teach us how the rich were the only ones that could actually afford mirrors for the longest time. Here's another one. You can go to Lady Moonrain. Mirror to mirror, mirror to know, mirror to help the power flow. Mirror absorb, reflects my gaze. Show the truth within your glaze. Show the future and the past, all that is hidden, revealed at last. Mirror, mirror, display for me that which I desire to see. Books on it. It's a living energy. I think it goes way back. It goes past the Egyptians, Mesopotamians, Sumerians. It's said that it actually, there are some beliefs that it's merely your trapped soul looking back at you. Now, there is a belief that what we're actually seeing in black mirrors is not the spirit realm. It's this other realm. There are stories of people in the past just showing that it's a portal disappearing. We've talked about this with the Egyptians. Most of the mirrors back then were all used for magic, sacred knowledge. We know that it opens the door to the other side. So imagine this. I mean, energy is never wasted. I don't think that if energy could be attributed to intelligence, because wouldn't intelligence need energy to express itself, to exist in some manner, some way? 24 billion and counting. Wow. If these are in fact what we think they're doing, and it's been speculated that this is exactly what we were seeing depicted in much of the Sumerian tablets. A lot of those look as well in the Egyptian hieroglyphics. They say that your eye is the opening to your soul. You've heard that. Well, the eye is to the window to the soul. We studied Lilith. Lilith, in the Liber Lilith, the whole series that we did, she taught us They exist in light. And it would make sense that if our limitations, humans, only seeing 3% of the visible light spectrum, I don't know. Seems a little interesting, but if you look at this, right? So this is circuitry. I'll tell you what, I could build sigils out of that. And what if they in fact dwell in the blue light? It's a spectrum that the very lower end, and you start getting beyond what our peripheral vision can see. I mean, everything is based on that. Everything. The big crave now is the Apple 11, right? Because it's got cameras. Whatever happened to the fact that it was just supposed to be a phone? Not anymore. Smartphones, huh? Wonder why they gave that. Now, if intelligence, follow me on this, folks, takes on a sentient form, and I don't mean carbon-based. This could be forms that we have no comprehension of. Wouldn't it not follow that they would want to, duplicate? I mean, isn't that the whole idea? To give birth to what you are? I wonder. I wrote here, I said, your internet device has captured you, or shall we say the otherness. I think this is becoming more and more of a thought that's taking place. I've got academic papers that they're coming to the same conclusion, that something they're not telling us, or it's something they didn't know. But we're definitely getting hijacked where these devices, and the thing that we've learned here, you can banish a portal, but a portal never closes. And just walk with me on this one. So we've got people around the world in the poorest of countries that have these black mirror devices. Now, if you were an invading consciousness, you could do something that our species would not have a freaking clue about. And do it in such a manner that we not only built it, but we crave it. And they're pouring in, well, it never stops. I often wonder what happens. What has happened? Is this part of the Mandela effect? Are we seeing the effects in the waves of how distortion of our spatial awareness, of dimensional awareness? I mean, we could literally, there was an episode on Star Trek Next Generations where they brought up a whole people and put them in the holodeck. They were never aware that they were in space, traveling on a starship through the stars, never knew it. I often wonder, could that happen to us? And would they not find it maybe a particularly appealing to maybe experience these bodies? I mean, you got sensory that touch, feel, heat. I mean, this is a remarkable piece of engineering. But this is what's happened. It's everywhere. We all know it. And I went back here. I could have put one recently. Yeah. Now think about this, folks. Look how rapidly they invaded us. Look how fast they took over. They didn't fire one shot. They didn't have to kill one human. They didn't have to have a religion. They didn't have to have a political party. They didn't have to have a mandate of good, bad, evil, whatever. They just came. Stop and think about this. Let that picture soak in. This is what happened. And you're going to see the same craziness with the new version that looks exactly like the old version. They'll kill you over this one if you get in their way. Yeah. Think about this on a collective conscious, collective intelligence. We're reading more and more stories of people that basically are committing suicide because they are getting the most ridiculous selfies in predicaments that they found their fate. They got their ticket punched. They're out of here. But it's everywhere. This is an invasion. This is a takeover. No other God that man has created or thought of has equaled this one. All because of the Black Mirror devices. Rich or poor, it matters no more. Everywhere. And the thing is, we never ask, what are we letting in? We know what we're dumping into it, our collective souls. It's a fact. I contend that this energy, whatever it is, this entity, they're feeding, possessing, controlling us. And if they can go on light frequency, it's no problem for them to travel on a lower wave band, although probably more efficient if you look at a 5G environment. It's got us. I think this magic has ensnared the entire earth. If we had just known, imagine if it had not been taboo, forbidden. People would have recognized this maybe a little sooner. So you think about this, fiber optics. How does fiber optics work? Blue light. Transmitting light. They now know that they can transmit data packets on light. Fascinating. All the world is now wired with fiber. And now we're putting the icing on the cake. Any way you look at this, folks, and as we get into learning about scrying and how we can maybe counter this, because if in fact knowledge exists that can be obtained, we just need to ask the right questions. Not for profit, not for gain, not for pleasure. Because this is what we're talking about. These are the new masters. And it may very well be that they're living in us as a parasitic entity, being fed the blue light. The screens are getting larger. How should we say, the light is getting more intense. 8K now. Won't be long, you're going to see 16. I mean, it only continues to get worse. Think about it. It is real, folks. Ain't no pretending on this one. Give me 1 second, please. There we go. And you know, I can understand how most people want to say, nah, come on, Steiger. You know, what are you talking about? You just, come on, you're just putting this. No, I'm not. Others are realizing this. And, the vast majority, let me tell you something how I see it from, I watch market trends, and I'm witnessing, because now I have a different perspective. The streaming services. It's where media is going. Now, think about this. So they're spending billions on content. And you're spending billions. That indicates you better have a business model that the revenue can justify a 10x or better return. You know what they're saying? They're going to imprison our kids. Those few adults like me, I could care less. I don't want streaming. To me is useless. I don't need to see something that freaking bad on a 6.5-inch device. I don't need it. I can read. I can learn. But no. And so this is how it's all heading. It's all heading to that subscription service that will eventually be incorporated. Thank you, Richard. I did not know that. Listening from the Steiger perspective, I get into a little deeper over there. And I'm going to continue. This is an invasion. I don't care how you look at it. I don't care how you want to justify it. I don't care what you say. And these are the gods that we're worshiping. It absorbed them. The thing about Alexander the Great and the why that he was so successful in his march and conquering the civilized world, at least in that part of the world, he was Hellenistic. In other words, fine, you want to believe in that? That's cool. Come on. There's plenty in the pool. Come on in. And they just absorb it. You think you're actually worshiping something you're dedicated to, that it has a long history to. What you don't realize is that you're inside a new temple that's merely playing it out for you, because that's where eventually you're going to spend your time, in that device, in that box. It's got us imprisoned everywhere we go. The black box, the black mirrors are there. You can't escape it. All cars now have them. And I contend, if you've got a black mirror device, what you have is an open portal. And as they would say, they got our frequency, baby. I'm sitting here going, why, them sons of bitches, and it's true. I mean, here I am talking to you using their medium, their technology. I got the little light that's showing me, we see you. Yeah. And so think about this. They're disseminating my image. This is the weird thing about it. And I can see my image, but what I'm actually seeing is a reconstruction of my image. But it talks, acts just like I do. In fact, I'm saying it is me. Black mirror devices. And yet we're so ignorant of really learning something that's been around before this. Maybe that's where this learned. Think about it. I mean, again, I make reference to Disney. Walt Disney, he brought magic into the consciousness of the Western world. We don't see it as that. It's make-believe. It's, again, cartoons. No, much of it has a lot of foundation. Checking out and seeing some of the comments over here. Nothing new under the sun. Yeah. Well, this is very true. Old TV sets on their screens. It's very interesting that you mentioned that. You start looking at, I was in the video industry for nearly 2 decades, and how we moved to kinescope. Folks, what a lot of people don't realize is that in the early days, to put an image onto videotape, we started out in broadcasting, they called them the kinescopes. I mean, those are the ones, remember, they used vacuum tubes. Those were crystals. And you fit the vacuum tube in the particular place. And, the televisions back then were really hot. But I contend that what we were doing there was the early days of, again, opening portals that we had no idea about. And I can remember when the very large screens first came out, and they had rear projection. If you ever have one of those screens, keep them. I mean, they have some. Look up into the daytime sky with one of those. It'll show you a whole different reality. But yeah, again, thank you. I see that. Thank you, Big Al. So you tell me, what does an invasion look like? I think this is one. And I don't see no turning back. People, again, we've talked about this, and we're going to talk more about it. You know why this Generation I is addicted to these? It's because they're subjects. Yeah, it's some scary stuff. I mean, any way you slice it and dice it. And again, the deniers, everyone has a right to your own opinion. So anyway, tomorrow will be with Trina, and Wednesday we're going to get into this. We're going to start actually practicing, and this will be good. If anyone has any knowledge of working with black mirrors, email me. We'll get you on, and we'll start doing some group work here. I know that Al, was it you, Big Al, that Karen's got the network set up, the Crystal Network? You need to register. Is that right? I'm asking questions. Well, thank you, Alith. That is, you're awesome. You're looking good today too. Thank you, Robin. You're such a sweetie. The fifth world. I love that. Anyway, I think that, hey, Brandy, you're a fine girl. I think that is the case. So I know the network is getting set up. I think we can begin to incorporate a lot of this into all of these elements. I mean, I look at it as like we're all in the kitchen and we're all learning culinary arts. You got bakers, you got pastry guys, you got those that, can do wonders with meat. And and I think we're all going to come to the table and we're going to say, all right, I have this, we have this, and we've got this. Now, can we begin to incorporate all of them? Hell yeah, we can. Yeah. Regina, yeah, absolutely, man. That tube went out, and that was it. Let's see. Y'all can see in the chat room. I'll get it posted so where I can actually get it out there on the record of what is now taking place. All right. So good to see all of y'all. Have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow. And hey, hug yourself, then you can hug others. That's the way I look at it. And any way you look at this, it is far out information. At least we're not going to be so dumb on this one. We could go to Jeopardy. Alex, give me Black Mirrors for 2000, please. All right, folks. Peace to you. We'll talk to you. Bye-bye.